When Bob Iger came back to the Walt Disney Company, it was supposed to be smooth sailing. The king of charisma had returned. He was going to christen the Walt Disney Company and bring it back to the pixie dust glory it once was. Bob Chapek was no more. And yet Bob Iger has not had fun. It's too dang hot for Bob. And Disney is not doing as well as investors had hoped. Now, even the Nanny is jumping all over Iger. Fran Drescher herself attacking Bob Iger. Bet you didn't see that one coming. All right, folks, welcome back to another fun video here on the WDW Pro channel, where we endeavor to explain entertainment and keep you ahead of the culture curve. We do it each and every day. It's like a free college class, except it's actually fun and the professor knows a thing or two. And joining us is the Professor Emeritus of this channel, Dr. Valiant Renegade. Welcome back, sir.
Good to be back. Good to see you.
That's right. That's right. Folks, if you like content like this and you want to drop a little positivity in the world, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe. And when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It is indeed the notification bell. Well, Mr. Renegade, we are going to be taking a look at a very fun situation. Fun for us, not fun for Disney, but a fun situation that is happening right now in regards to the giant Hollywood strike, which, like the Craggle from the Lego movie, has stuck all of Hollywood together. They can't do anything. And Iger is now not getting along with the Nanny. Here it is out of Variety. This by Zach Scharf. Fran Drescher slams Bob Iger's repugnant and tone-deaf strike comments. And folks, as you read those words, make sure you read them in the voice, in the vocalization of the Nanny. It makes this so much more fun. If I were Disney, I would lock him behind doors. And after you read that, do the Nanny laugh in your head. You got it? Okay, now you know how to read this article. SAG-AFTRA president Fran Drescher railed against Disney CEO Bob Iger during an interview with Variety on the strike picket lines outside of the Paramount Pictures studio lot. In a July 13th interview with CNBC's David Faber from the Sun Valley Conference, Iger said WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikers were not being realistic with their demands. He said, "I found them terribly repugnant and out of touch, positively tone-deaf. I don't think it served him well," Drescher said on Friday when asked about Iger's comments. Speaking to Variety chief correspondent Elizabeth Wagmeister, gosh, that's a great name, Drescher continued, "If I were that company, I would lock him behind doors and never let him talk to anybody about this because it's so obvious that he has no clue as to what is really happening on the ground with hardworking people that don't make anywhere near the salary he is making. High 7 figures, 8 figures. This is crazy money that they make, and they don't care if they're land barons of a medieval time." Ouch! Valiant, Iger came back, supposed to be the savior of the company, got himself a ginormous pay raise. Talk to us a little bit about how much money Iger is making now, and why perhaps some of these actors and other creatives around the industry are not too pleased with Bob anymore.
Well, most CEOs in his position of major Fortune 500 companies, in the Walt Disney Company's case, a Dow 30 industrial component company, most of them have relatively low salaries and then have the bulk of their pay tied to performance incentives. And that's no different here with Disney. And this is always a constant refrain when when you have unions that go on strike or people that complain about CEOs' pay. Look, this is stock standard for how things work across the board. I think the most entertaining part about this entire scenario, number one, I had no idea until the last couple of weeks that Fran Drescher was president of SAG-AFTRA, and that just...
Isn't this a great reality?
It just put a big smile on my face. You talk about the Nanny. I still remember the first time I saw Fran Drescher was Dr. Detroit with Dan Aykroyd. That's where I knew her from. If you haven't seen that movie, folks, check it out. But point is...
Anything with Dan Aykroyd's great.
Oh, yeah. Look, the funniest part to me is that Bob Iger was brought in because he needs to come back, because Bob Iger understands Hollywood. He understands how to work with actors. He understands how to work with the entertainment industry. Bob Chapek was two hands full of thumbs when it came to that, right? He screwed everything up with Scarlett Johansson and all the stuff with Black Widow and that release, and they had to go to court. This is why we need Bob Iger back, because he's so awesome when it comes to Hollywood.
Well, so here's what I'm having fun with Valiant.
Yeah.
You've got Bob Iger, who came in. He's supposed to be the pretty boy who fixes everything.
Yep.
And he is now getting flack from both sides. You've got the celebrities, the Hollywood types. They're clearly way out in left field, and they're mad at him. They're mad at him because he's making too much money, right? They're mad at him because they want equity, and they want they want everything to be evened out. Equality of outcome. That's what they're demanding. And then on the right side, he's made everybody mad because he will not get off this deal with the situation with families. And I don't know if you saw this, but there is a political entity out there with a damning video where it has Iger saying that it's ridiculous that Disney would, or it's preposterous that Disney would be targeting children in negative ways. And then it plays all of the things that we have seen leaked out of Disney or that have just been public out of Disney. And so Iger is getting this from both sides. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think he's enjoying this return to the company. Surely he's not. Do you think he regrets it at all?
I think to some degree. There's an article that we'll be covering on the live show Sunday from the Wall Street Journal and from a few others. One of the headlines is even, Bob Iger is just not having fun right now. And this is from a major financial trade. And they all recognize this. There's all the studios are dealing with the complexities at this point with the writer's strike, and now compounded by SAG-AFTRA getting involved. But Disney is in a particularly funky position, I think, compared to everybody else because they've already been so beaten up. Other studios have had a lot more success in television and at the box office. I mean, when you think of television right now, the king of the hill probably for the past 12 months is got to be Paramount and Warner Brothers, between the Game of Thrones spinoff and then, of course, Paramount with all of these massive Taylor Sheridan hits that they have.
Is it fair to say, Valiant, that Disney, whether it's Marvel or Lucasfilm, they have not figured out how to make a streaming show, period? Like, they're just clueless.
They're making cannon fodder right now. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. They're not putting out the quality that their competitors are. And then when it comes to the box office, of course, Universal is really eating their lunch from a pure dollar for dollar, pound for pound standpoint. Profitability, success rate. I mean, if Disney has to put out 6 tentpole movies to beat 1 or 2 tentpole movies to get the highest market share at the box office, that's
and then still lose money.
Yeah, still lose money. That's pretty pathetic. That's pathetic.
Well, let's see what Iger had to say back. Let's see how he defends himself. He says, I understand any labor organization's desire to work on behalf of its members to get the most compensation and be compensated fairly based on the value that they deliver. We managed as an industry to negotiate a very good deal with the Directors Guild that reflects the value that the directors contribute to this great business. We wanted to do the same thing with the writers, and we'd like to do the same thing with the actors. There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic, and they're adding to the set of the challenges that this business is already facing that is, quite frankly, very disruptive. Now, Valiant, when it comes to this strike that we've got going on, which could go on deep into the autumn period,
Sure.
We've heard, October, November, maybe even beyond, and if so, it's catastrophic for the industry. There's no telling how much each single day will cost the industry overall. But which side do you think can outlast the other in this regard? There's going to be massive leverage on both parties to come together to come to some solution. But I don't know which side has the better side of it. Who's got the better cards?
Right now, the studios do. And they're already playing those cards. And they're playing the cards in the sense that, okay, we're going to go out and we're going to start buying content, turnkey content from elsewhere. We'll buy it from this country, that country, the other country. K-dramas have been very popular, have become very popular. And I stated the other night, some friends, I'm like, look, I've been a fan of K-dramas for a long time now. I'm glad they're getting into mainstream because, frankly, they're some of the best written stuff, most entertaining stuff I've ever watched. I've got a ton of them. Disney is buying these up now to populate Disney Plus, the void that they may have this fall and into next year. I think it's a smart idea. And they don't have to do anything here in the U.S. to do it. They have studios over there in Korea. These things are on Korean television, and Disney can just grab them and go, you know what? We're going to buy the licensing rights to put them here. just like they do with their single most popular thing on Disney Plus week in, week out by a order of magnitude, Bluey.
Bluey!
Yeah. So that's now going to be K-dramas. So they're going to keep the momentum going. All these streaming services, Netflix will probably do the same thing. You will probably see, if anything, I think this would be, honestly, this really might be damaging long-term to the Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA, is that you could see studios, I think, personally get into bidding wars over stuff like K-dramas. I think you could see them get into bidding wars over content that is from the BBC or elsewhere that they might want a license to put in on Disney Plus. And that'd be great, especially for some of these Korean studios.
Valiant, I must ask you a question. It would be wrong of me to not go here. It's going to make one of our regular viewers, for both of our channels, exceedingly happy.
I know where you're going. Yeah,
that's right. We often get questions from one Jack White.
Jack White, yeah.
On your show and mine, talking about anime. Do you foresee that this could also be an opportunity for anime to rise in popularity in the West? Could this not just be K-dramas, but also opportunities to pick up these animated features out of Japan, out of Korea, etc.?
Absolutely. I mean, for especially for Disney, right? If they can't get their stuff done here, they can go over and just, work with the same studios they worked with to create Star Wars Visions. Work with studios in Korea. Produce content. This is what we want. Here, go do it. They're not part of this. It doesn't matter. So studios like Disney, like Fox, or Fox Television, or Paramount with CBS, Comcast, Universal with NBC, the major networks is what I'm going after here, plus all the cable channels that they have under their wing. They can fill the void to an extent with a glut of content from overseas. And that's not going to help SAG and the WGA at all. And that's why these studios, I think, have made the comment, fine, you want to go down this road with these demands that are, frankly, untenable, right? Having 8 writers in a writer's room. Again, even Taylor Sheridan said, I'm not doing that.
Right, it's craziness.
Right, so they can outlast them. And then, yes, we can sit here until y'all starve. Now, I don't think they meant that literally. I think they meant that metaphorically. I think they meant that, like I tell my kids, I don't want to eat that. I'm not going to have that, Dad. I want something else. I'm like, fine, go to bed hungry and starve. I think it's the same. It's the same thing. It's a parent disciplining a child. And I think that's the same attitude these studios are taking. Be it right or wrong, I'm not saying that. I'm not passing judgment there, but that is the attitude I think they have. They know that they have the upper hand here. So I don't think the Screen Actors Guild added anything to the WGA's point, because they're both pre and principal production. It's not like you had somebody else downline that would shut down post-production. Everything that completed that's in post-production is still going right now, and it's going to continue to go. So
sure, and we're also not callous to the needs of some of the people who, by the way, if they're on the margins, this is hurting them terribly. But
yeah,
I can also understand that if you're on the margins and you're a struggling writer who wants to make it in Hollywood, you could easily be persuaded that the corporations are out against you, and perhaps they are. Who knows? But Valiant, I'm just curious about this as well. I have joked a little bit on Twitter that we are now on day 4 of the writer's strike, the Hollywood strike, and we are also on day 4 of America not caring. How do you think this plays out with the public? Does the public care about the plight of the writers and the actors, or do you think that average everyday Americans are looking at their budgets, the inflation, et cetera, and saying, I really don't give 2 craps about what's going on in Hollywood. They've crapped on us, and I'm sorry, but I'm no longer interested in what they have to say.
Yes, the latter. I think most of America just frankly does not give a damn. They really don't. They look at, especially with the actors, think of what most middle Americans think of when they think of actors going on strike. They think of big names. They think of big actors. They think of millionaires living in Beverly Hills mansions. And they think
diamond-crusted swimming pools, mahogany toilet seats.
Right. And again, I'm not saying that perception is correct for everybody. Clearly it isn't. But that's the perception of what middle America is. They think of big Hollywood actors going on strike. They think, who gives a crap? When it comes to the writing and what the studios have been producing, same problem. Most of the stuff coming out, look at what's in theaters right now. Look at the glut of garbage on television. Most people, I don't think, care. There's a couple of, handful of shows by comparison out of the thousands of new shows that get produced each and every single year. You probably have a dozen, maybe 24 that are big hits with audiences. This is something that goes over most people's heads. This is not 20 years ago when the Oscars still had and commanded some of the biggest audiences on television each and every single year. We're not in that world anymore. Hollywood has destroyed itself. America doesn't care. They don't care. And that's just where it is.
I'm with you. I mean, we're looking at Disney. They've dropped 70% of their total box office revenue since 2019 until today. Mm-hmm. And I look at this entire situation, and I just think this reeks of the baseball strike, the MLB strike back from the 90s.
Right.
I'm afraid this winds up with the average folks saying, screw all of you. Like, we have real issues here in real America, and we don't know what you're up to in Southern Cal. So,
yeah.
Well, Valiant, thanks for coming on.
I just paid $5-6 for a gallon of milk. I just paid $4 for a loaf of bread. You think I want to hear you complain about your Beverly Hills mansion?
Exactly. Well, Valiant, thank you for coming on and explaining this this tiff between the Nanny and Bob Iger. Was not on my bingo card for 2023, but seldom do I get anything like that. That's exciting to talk about. Happy to see this one come across the board, and it's a lot of fun. But Valiant, where can people find you on this great, big, beautiful web out there?
You can check me out on YouTube at Valiant Renegade with 2 L's, and the same on Twitter.
You doing any Rumble?
Not really.
Huh.
I mean, I guess I need to get... I mean, I have a Rumble as a backup, and we're getting there.
You got locals? You got
no.
You got Instagram?
Well, there's an Instagram out there, so yeah.
We'll work on it. All right, folks, make sure that you are subscribed and following Valiant and his 2 highly successful channels, because just one is not enough.
That's right.
And drop your comments down below. We cover your comments. We care about what you think. We want to know, did you see the Nanny getting mad at Bob Iger? Well, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Make sure to catch The Pro Show Thursdays 5 to 7 Eastern Time. Entertainment Explained, The Culture Curve Conquered, live with Pro and all his friends.